Hey y'all, welcome to the Backchannel. In today's episode, I want to talk a little bit about what Zoom-based pitches should actually feel like. It's actually a pretty interesting topic to me and kind of funny because a lot of people that are in startups today joined the ecosystem post-March of 2020. So what happened in March of 2020, I think most of you can figure that out, at least in the United States. That's when everything shut down for COVID-19. That's when the pandemic started in the United States and everything changed in terms of how we do business inside and outside of the startup and venture capital ecosystem. The main thing being that people started relying on video conferences, Zoom. So if people didn't have any experience being part of the ecosystem pre-March 2020, they don't know what pitching venture capitalists felt like back then. And actually, pitching venture capitalists over Zoom is meant to be a representation, as close of a representation of the real life in-person face-to-face pitching that used to happen back in the day. In fact, I would say 99% of all first meetings, all meetings overall, were done in person. Very few were actually done over video conference or phone calls. And so when people start pitching over Zoom the first time, I don't think they understand what it should be. There are different ways that people end up incorrectly running a Zoom-based or video conference-based pitch. One of them is they are not really sure. They're kind of talking into a camera, talking into a screen, and they think, this means that I'm on stage at TechCrunch Disrupt and giving this large presentation where they're kind of like shouting into the audience. That's one way I see people doing it incorrectly. Another, a more subdued way, is that they do believe that, well, I am just talking to one person, but it becomes very black and white. It becomes very presenty. It becomes very, look at these slides. Let me tell you a bit about my company. So I think what helps people understand what their presentation should be like over video conference is maybe describing what it used to be like back in the day. So back in the day, you would go to a venture capitalist office and you would wait for your meeting. You would get there, 5 to 10 minutes early. You would stay in a waiting room. Funny enough, there are waiting rooms in Zoom as well. And then when it was your time to go meet with the venture capitalist, they'd meet you out wherever you were sitting. They'd give you a handshake. They'd talk to you. They'd be like, come this way, come to my office, come to the conference room. And it would actually be a pretty warm and inviting experience, even though it would be nerve-wracking for the founder. And once you sat down, you likely weren't kind of really far away from the investor. You might be sitting close to them. You might be sitting on the same side of a table. And while you would be referencing a screen to show materials, it was really a conversation about your business, referencing the materials that you had, showing them stuff, and instead of presenting, really having a conversation. Okay, so I've actually struggled with focus my entire life, which might be surprising to some people because I got good grades, went to good schools, got good jobs, but really I was able to get that far in spite of myself. It's been a struggle all my life, and that struggle really came to a head once I became an entrepreneur. At that point, there was too much going on. I couldn't overpower my lack of focus. So I tried a bunch of things, planning apps, coaching, but nothing really made a dent. And then I started hearing about this special productivity drink, Magic Mind, and was super skeptical. Honestly, it wasn't until a friend gifted me some that I became a believer. When you take a little bit of this stuff, it's hard to describe, but there's like this feeling of focus that just washes over you, where all of the things that normally distract you no longer do. And honestly, it's been a game changer for me. So I'm really excited because Magic Mind is sponsoring this podcast and offering up to 50% off your subscription if you sign up within 10 days of this airing. All you have to do is go to magicmind.co/funded or use funded as your promo code when you're checking out. Hope you guys try it out and that you like it as much as I do. So when it comes to what you should be doing over video conference in today's Zoom-based era, it really should be more like a conversation. You may or may not have materials to share, but even if you have materials to share, you're not going to be presenting it slide by slide. You're going to be referencing them as an interesting prop or a graph or something to show that highlights something that you're talking about. So a couple things on this idea of being a conversation. Well, how do you make it more of a conversation? One way is to make sure that you invite the investor to speak with you and ask questions of them so they engage and you understand a little bit more about what's exciting to them, the things they want to learn about, and the things that you should be spending more time on. The other thing you should be doing is pausing a little bit more, leaving gaps in the conversation so that the VC can chime in, react to what you're saying, and sort of direct the pitch in a way that is much more conversational. Some other things that you can do are ask questions about not only what they see in the company and what they see in the industry, but also at some point asking them questions about themselves, asking them questions about their company, their firm. All these things make it more of a two-way street, put you on equal footing, and then have the pitch feel much more like it used to back in the day when you would visit venture capitalists at their office. So that's my big tip for the day, how to make your video conference pitches feel more the way that venture capitalists hope they do, basically the way they used to back before COVID-19 hit. All right, so go out there, make your pitches more conversational, and I'll see you next time on the Backchannel.